I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
My name is Jean-Louis, but actually, I'm Hoang. I've been born in Ho Chi Minh, the biggest city of Vietnam. I've been raised in Kortrijk, a town nearby the center of West Belgium. And I am living in The Hague, the governmental capital of Holland. As far as I know, I was left behind in an orphanage since birth. 4 months later, I got adopted by the person who I now refer to as my mother. She told me that the nurses who took care of me in the orphanage used to call me Emperor in Yellow, was the literal translation of my name, Hoang. 1 year later, my mother decided to adopt again. This time, a girl, also from Vietnam. She is now my proud little sister, named Camille. She left last week to Sicily to pursue her own dreams as a dancer. As a toddler, I had difficulties with certain locomotion abilities, such as climbing stairs or holding a pencil. To solve this, my mother sent me to ballet class, to move my body in motion and to develop my muscles. And honestly, I hated to do ballet as a kid. Really hated. Mostly I was the only guy, surrounded by 30 other girls, trying to mimic fancy movements that really looked retarded on me back then. But strangely enough, I never decided to quit. And luckily, I had my sister during all classes, so if I needed support, I could get that from her. 6 years later, my mother decided to adopt again, only this time from Haiti. She adopted a girl named Odile, and a year later she adopted a boy named Jean-François. And eventually, they started to dance as well. And so there were we then, 4 children, 2 guys, 2 girls, 2 countries, 2 cultures, 1 big family. And it was funny sometimes because we used to fight over stupid things, but strangely enough, when the 4 of us were on stage, that never happened. It was like if we would step on stage, we would cross a certain border, and behind that border, our disagreements would not exist. That's also why I believe if every soldier would become a dancer, there wouldn't be such a thing as war. I reached last year of primary school, and 2 amazing things happened to me. I had the opportunity to return back to Vietnam, and I was accepted for the Royal Ballet School of Antwerp. One of the hardest and most emotional moments in Vietnam was when I visited the orphanage back. It was hard to see in what kind of situations those kids had to grow up in comparison to my childhood. It was hard to imagine that I could be one of them if I had the chance of being adopted. And that's when I made a promise to myself. I wanted to return back later as an employee in service of that country, not even knowing back then as what or how. So my time in Vietnam was over then. I started at the Royal Ballet School. And those first years of education were very important to me because that's how I discovered my potential as being a ballet dancer. And then I realized what I wanted to be if I would return back to Vietnam. And that was a director of my own ballet school. Then I could share my joy with those children there. I finished high school there. And then I had to find a job. That's how I came in connection with the Dutch Dome Dance Division. And luckily for me, the Dutch Dome Dance Division isn't just a regular company. Last year we had a talk, and I explained them my future dreams. So they would eventually help me to realize them. So I'm very grateful for that. Of course, I want to create my own career as a dancer as long as possible, but at least I made some steps then. I already had some visions of that dream. One of them is that my brothers and sisters would follow me by becoming teachers, for example. The last thing that I also want is a small chamber or house built above the roof for my mother, who supported me in everything that I did until now. With every decision that I made, that's at least, that's the least what I could do to thank her. So this was about it. This was my story. I'm Jean-Louis, but actually, I'm Hoang. Thank you.